Hi guys, Anthony Turnham, professional photographer here, and today I'm going to be talking with you about how to save yourself from those pesky little dust spots that you might get on your photos. And I just want to say before I start the video, this is by no means the only way that you can fix this up. There's many different ways you can do this in Photoshop, and the best way to solve the problem is to fix it before it even starts and make sure your sensor is clean and dust free before you go on a shoot. But that's not always possible. If you are interested in that, I do have a video about cleaning your sensor, but how do we do it in post-production? This is one way that I found works really well. If you look at this photo that we've got here, I'm sending this out to large format print. So we're going to be close to 1 meter wide for this picture when it's printed. So I don't want my client receiving anything with any untoward dust spots, and they normally show up in the sky. But you can see here that you can't actually see any dust spots. So we're good to go, right? Well, I don't think so. At first glance, the sky looks like it's pretty clean. We've got a really soft transition. I shot this photo years ago after the bad earthquakes that we had here in Christchurch, and you can see the rebuild going on here in the city centre with all the cranes. So this is on an older camera, but the sensor should be clean. It looks kind of clean in the sky. It's not. If we zoom in, we can actually just about see, okay, here, right here is a dust spot. But that was so hard to spot. I know it's there, but it's really hard to spot, but I don't want that going through to print. So what do? I've created an action that will show this up, and let me show you how you can do that too. All you need to do is at the top, just create a curves layer, and then you're going to create a crazy up and down curve, okay? And this nutty curve that we're creating here is going to just showcase exactly where these dust spots are. So bear with me while I go a bit mental creating a zigzaggy curve. I'm going to kind of finesse this and finesse it. Look at it, it's mental, but I'm still going to finesse it afterwards. And I'm watching my curve at the moment, just moving these points around. But if you look on my actual screen, you will probably start to see some little dust spots. See that one that we highlighted before? And further along, there's another one here and another one here. And we can also see even in these areas down here, there's just little dust spots which are just showing that slight abnormality rather than a smooth transition through the sky. We've got spots. And as one of the last steps that I like to do is always just make sure that my image is nice and clean before it goes out to print. If you're putting something online, nice and small, you probably don't need to worry about this step. But if you're printing, definitely check for those dust spots because you'll really regret it later if you don't. So if that is something you do regularly, what I would recommend is make sure within your actions, you just create a new action just by clicking the plus icon here and do what I've done here, which is a sensor spot revealer. I just hit record, and then what we just did there with creating that curves, just record that action, press stop at the end, and rather than having to recreate that curve with a wavy line every time, you've already done that, and you can just click play, and that'll put that on the top of your photo, and you can see your dust spots. So the next step is really easy. Out of all your tools that you've got over here, you want to come to this one here, which is the spot healing brush tool. So you can either press J or click on this, and from there just create a circle which is just slightly bigger than the dust spots, and then click and gone, and click and gone, and click and gone, and just move around your picture and just make sure that you've got rid of all of those little dust spots. Now there may well be dust spots appearing down in the foreground here, but you just don't see them. So it's normally, like I say, in the sky, so clean those up. You can also see that somehow we've got some rather strange diffraction, hexagonal or octagonal shapes going on here, so we could try just cleaning those up. And if it doesn't work, like that didn't there, I'll just press Ctrl Z to undo. I'm going to come to the clone and stamp tool, and we can sample just from off to the side and start painting over. And if that doesn't seem like it's working either, rather than doing it at 100% opacity, what I like to do is just sort of maybe use something like 30%, make a slightly bigger brush so it's a softer transition, paint over once, maybe sample a different area, paint over again, and start to build up. You want to make sure that you sample from the same height in the sky before you start painting. Otherwise you're going to get a strange effect going on. And you also don't want to sample at the side of your frame where you're going to start painting an edge. That's no good. Let's hide that curves adjustment layer that was showing the spots. And it doesn't look like a huge change, but you know that when you send that to print, you're going to have got rid of all those nasty little dust spots and nothing is going to show up, because there's nothing worse than getting a print back that you think is going to look beautiful. You got it nice and large, put it up on your wall or send it off to a client, and there are dust spots in the sky that you didn't even realize were there. So this tip is really useful for images that have skies in. So if you're dealing with a lot of landscapes, I thoroughly recommend it. But also if I jump to this architectural shot that I'm working on at the moment, and if you guys are interested in architecture, I know that a lot of my architectural videos have been quite popular, just write architecture in the comments and I will look at putting together a video about the complete post-production process for this image. But just to showcase you what we were just looking at before and the dust spots, I didn't have time to clean my sensor before I went out to this shoot, frustratingly. So sensor spot revealer is my action, and if I click play, that's basically going to put that curves adjustment, which is the up and down of all those curves, and straight away we can see we've got dust spots here. So before that goes back to my client, I can just grab that spot healing brush tool and just make clicks up in the ceiling in any area where I feel like there's an abnormality. So I can just look around the file, and even if there's bits of dirt up in the ceiling, you can just click and clean things up really easily. Click there. There's a lot more I could do to make sure that this is looking really clean, but this particular curves adjustment is really useful just for showcasing where there are these strange abnormalities where you'd expect a smooth transition, and you can come in and just use the power of that tool just to clean it up really, really simply. So I hope this video has been useful to you guys. This curves adjustment has saved me a lot of time in terms of looking around on the screen, zooming into the photo, trying to see those dust spots, because it shows you where they are so quickly and allows you just to retouch them within seconds, really. So I hope this tip is as useful to you guys as it has been for me. And as I say, if you're interested in architectural photography, just write architecture in the comments below, and if I get enough responses, I'll make another architectural video. It's been ages since I've done one, and I know that a lot of the subscribers I have on this channel, that's what you're interested in. So don't want to neglect you guys. So let me know if you're out there. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.